And we are live, GYGB War Report Show. I'm your co-host, Berto Flack, R.O. Diggity, Stuff Mo, who is popping, fam.
What is going on, man? How are you?
Yeah, man. So what's the deal with y'all in the weather up there? Because we're getting cold weather down here in Florida, so it's I can't imagine what's going on up in Philly.
Well, it's a snow. At first, we were dealing with like what we call a snow globe, where it's just like kind of like you shake that snow globe up, and obviously, you get the little flakes that are coming down on top of the city, and then all of a sudden, it had the nerve to be kind of warm. Like I sent you, and then I sent you that Ike Turner picture with winter is looking like this, and then all of a sudden, man, it like became Chicago cold like today. It's so cold outside, windy, man. It hurts.
Oh, I mean, living down here, yeah. I mean, but I've been to Chicago. I've been up north. I don't envy y'all, man. It's the season though, man. It's the tundra has officially hit. Nick, and actually, shout out to the Game of Thrones heads, my wife. Shout out to Coltrane, who might be joining us later. The storm is coming, or the snow is coming, man. But we got a
So
lot.
do you watch GOT or no?
Yeah, man. Like I try to get into it. Tried to get me into it. My wife tried to get me into it, and like the first two episodes,
Mm-hmm.
it's just like I don't know, man. I mean, like me and you are like we're well, I mean, Train too, but I think Train might have stopped with The Walking Dead. I'm still on it, but
Yeah, I'm still on it
it's
too.
just one of those things. So I don't
Yeah,
know.
and it didn't work for me either, man. When I was watching Game of Thrones, I watched the first two episodes, three, and as soon as I saw it was like just some like I know it's gonna sound crazy, but like I don't know, that whole instance thing, man. I'm like, nah, I'm cool, man. It was like I'm so cool with that, man. They're like, oh, it's part of the storyline. You gotta get past it. And I'm like, nah, I'm good, man. Like, let's just let's just move on, man. Let's just move on, man. And yeah, we're
Let's see the
moving on now.
violence. Yeah.
Yeah, where's the violence, man? If it ain't violence, man, I don't want to watch it. But like, you got stuff going on, man, that has nothing to really do with like anything, and I'm just sitting there like, you gotta be kidding me, man. So that's when I stopped, and I know that I know shout out to Docs and Corey,
Yeah, Docs is a
and
big. I know he's a big GOP.
yeah, and they really tried to like get me there, and then I tried to really be patient. I'm gonna watch it during like this week, this holiday, and it's like it's almost like I hate to say this, it's almost like the kid that has too many homework assignments that are due. They're like, okay, we'll give you a pass to do it over, right? And you're like, man, we so far, into the semester, man. I can't do homework, man, from like the beginning of the quarter, man. Like, we're gonna have to like just chalk it up. You know what I mean? So like, we're so far behind in terms of episodes. You figure it's episode they're in like season 8. Like it makes no sense to like start over right now.
No, I feel you, man. I mean, it's just crazy, man. Like I can't. I mean, there's shows I get invested in. Don't get me wrong, but like, especially I'm not gonna speak on it, but you know the one I'm talking about, ROD.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We shall not speak on it, but you know which one I'm talking about.
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
But you know,
we waiting for that. We waiting for the next for the new season come along. But everybody has that show that's just like the we
they
call
go
it the
to, yeah, they go
yeah,
to.
we're like all right, yeah, but anyway.
So speaking of violence, man, well, so some sweet science and some violence we got. Well, we do have fights this week, and of course, the Fox yet again another PBC date. Sean Porter puts up his WBC welterweight title against your Dennis Ugas. One of the fights I've been really interested in seeing. We're going to discuss that. There's a fight that again went under the radar. One of the light heavyweight champions who just
Mm-hmm.
recently signed a deal to the Zone.
Mm-hmm.
Dimitri Bivol is going to be facing Joe Smith. And yeah, that's going to be on the Zone same night, again, intersecting, Boxing dates and cards that, we got to sit there and split screen everything. This is boxing in the modern day, man. So, kind of get used to it. But, we're going to speak on that in a minute. Some news tidbits. I want to get ROD's take on. But we got to talk about the fights from last weekend that were on Showtime, the doubleheader. Well, really was a tripleheader, but the two fights that mainly we wanted to see, with obviously Luis King Kong Ortiz and Erislandy Lara. And I'll send it to you, ROD. I mean, we've been talking about, one of the guys in the heavyweight division that has been known as the boogeyman or the avoided is Luis Ortiz. Now, he finally got his opportunity facing Deontay Wilder, in which up until his fight with Tyson Fury was his most difficult task to date for Deontay Wilder and for Luis Ortiz too. Fought a hell of a fight, gets knocked out in the end. But give me your take on his performance in this fight. He did win the fight, but I want to get, because we talked about it, I want to get your assessment on his performance overall against Christian Hammer, by the way.
Yeah, again, everybody, and I was probably one of those people under the influence that basically he would basically destroy Christian Hammer, and it wound up being in a situation where he did not. And I think a lot of people, including myself, was shocked by that. Now, what's interesting is when you look at it. First of all, let me say this. I laugh at the people that all of a sudden say that Lauer and King Kong are like interesting fighters now. And I'm just like, well, what do you mean by that? Like, they both felt, to me, they both fought totally like bipolar of what they, polar opposite of what they are. It doesn't really make them, exciting now because, I think what we saw King Kong really show his age. And, I think now, since he's a little bit more vulnerable, he won't be as avoided. And I think that a lot of people are picking that up now. So look for him to get more fights now, which is a sad thing, man. And I felt like, what happened is, we just saw a guy that was getting touched a lot, and obviously, even though he is Cuban, I don't want to misrepresent that. He was this slick Cuban boxer. He was just like slipping a whole bunch of stuff, man. Like, what is this, Gamboa or anything like a prime Gamboa, but he always represented himself pretty well, man, and he got the win. He gutted it out, but he just looked bad, Roberto. He looked bad, man, and I don't know if that's really the Cuban fighter, man, that we know and love in King Kong, man, and it's a shame, man. He's going to get a lot of fights as a result of that, which is so crazy.
Yeah, he was getting hit with a lot of stuff, man. And I was telling you early on, I was like, yo, he's just getting hit with stupid stuff. I mean, look, it's boxing. Not everybody, you get hit. I mean, it happens. But he was just getting hit with stuff that when I think about people saying, him and Deontay Wilder fighting and even him and Anthony Joshua, however you feel about him, I don't like his chances in either of those fights based on what I saw Saturday night, man. And I don't know if, because look, the question always becomes is how old are these fighters? He just turned 40, so they say, that's always been like the sticking point to it goes beyond boxing. I mean, baseball too. El Duque, when he came into the league, I mean, he was already older, but into baseball. But like, some say he was maybe a little older. I mean, we don't know. But I think regardless of the fact, a 40-year-old heavyweight getting hit with shots like that doesn't usually spell anything that has like a grand future or a lengthy one. So to your point, man, like I do think he may land some of these fights because now he's getting hit, and he's still a guy that some of these heavyweights may still get a name off of beating him, like even still by knockout, you know? So I agree. I think he may potentially land, or somebody may land a fight with Luis Ortiz. I'm just not, I don't know who's there. I mean, there's news now that Dillian White is going to sign a deal with Top Rank and ESPN, you know? So again, all these markets are getting cornered. So now you're starting to wonder, like, who are these guys going to fight, man? But I don't know. I'm a little worried about Luis Ortiz going into the future. But following that, one of the Cuban fighters that we've always held, all of us, you know, myself, you, Train, Erislandy Lara. You know, I mean, this guy's had a roller coaster of a career as it relates to fighting pretty much outside of the Charlos, fighting just about every junior middleweight, and not named Cotto, that you can imagine, you know. And he fought this kid, Brian Castano, who I'd seen once, but was highly touted. And again, man, kind of like the first fight, just Lara just getting hit with shots that he doesn't normally get hit with. But to Castano's credit, this kid was really busy. And it looked like Lara was like, every time he was on the move, he never got a shot in. And every now and then he would land like a 1-2, which has been Lara's MO for the most part. But I don't know, man. You tell me, ROD. I mean, did we kind of see the same thing with Lara that we saw with Luis Ortiz?
Yeah, I mean, again, we saw Father Time, catch up to Lara. And it's a shame because, most people said, hey, man, Laura's fighting exciting now. And it's like, Laura looked like he was old, and I don't know if he was old more so than he was getting caught. And, a piece of him just died in that herd fight. But again, you got a situation, man, where he was just getting touched with a lot of stuff, and no credit, no disrespect to was it Castanda?
Castano, yeah.
Yeah, no disrespect to him because he put up an awesome effort and represented himself well. But again, man, I think it's another situation where Lara, man, is not going to be this avoided fighter either. I think that he may be on his way, man, to being like a gatekeeper. And it's a shame because when have we ever thought of Lara being a gatekeeper, man? We've always thought of him. We always thought highly enough of him to say, you know what, this is what it is. Now it's crazy because, when we look at Lara now, the one thing we were saying, was, now we hear him say he wants a rematch with her, and we're like, no, we don't want you to have a rematch with her. Like, we want you to stay.
Took a toll on him, man.
Well, that's my point. We're like, we want, when he say it now, it's a joke, because we're like, nah, we don't want you to have that. Like, we actually want you to get better, And it's like, it's not even, it's nothing really wrong with him, man. He just looked that bad, man. You just felt sorry for him, man. So
I never seen Lara get, like, not even in the Canelo fight. Like, he didn't get hit like how he got hit.
Well, what about Angulo? Angulo, that fight, he got hit a lot. He got hit a lot.
Oh, remember that? Like, he knocked him down.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Angulo should have really won that fight, to be honest, man. And Lara came back.
But remember, his head looked like he had that contusion in his head.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. But I don't know, man. It's a shame. I look at Lara and King Kong. I know this is gonna sound crazy, and if anybody, I know we have fans that are listening, but I kind of look at them with the same type of, like, I don't know, like, disappointment. I don't want to call it disappointment, but the same surprise. How about that? As I do the Charlo brothers. Like, I really thought, I still think highly of the Charlo brothers, but I'm just like, they were these world beaters before, and they had this aura about them where it was like, you know what, man, like, they're gonna be hard to beat. And now I just see, like, vulnerable on them. Like, the right person, the right style gets to them. They're vulnerable, and you don't hear that much from them anymore. meaning the Charlos. Like, they kind of got, they might have won in some people's eyes, but they got humble. And that's the same thing I see with like Laura, unfortunately, and King Kong to a higher extent. That like these guys were people that were they avoided, King of the Jungles, man. Now people like, man, show me where the King of the Jungle is. I got a big gun for him.
Yeah, and you know what? That usually happens, man. It's kind of the nature of the beast. I think for Lara, man, he went through a string of wins, right? But like he had these little shaky performances against like guys like Vanis Marchroyson, like for some reason he always had issues with that guy. Now, granted, like Vanis in his time was like a good fighter, but I think that Hurd fight, and he even said, he goes, yo, Hurd's a big dude, man. And I really think that was Lara's last great, like, solid performance, even in a loss. But it's like, look, this kid Castaño, I think he's gonna develop as a fighter. But if he's having trouble against this level of fighter, I mean, he's probably done at the elite level, man. I mean, if you really take a back step and just look at what he can do, or what he'd be able to do at junior middleweight, let alone, like, I wouldn't even want him to go to middleweight. Like, don't even think about doing that. Because then you're just asking for trouble, man. So, I don't know. I mean, we'll kind of see kind of the same thing with Luis Ortiz, man, to, your point, ROD. I think it might be a deal where these guys, fight Lara now, as opposed to not wanting to fight him because of the style. I mean, we'll kind of have to wait and see. But before we get to the main events this week, man, we had to kind of talk about this. We did hear about it through the grapevine, and or at least like weeks prior, but apparently there's a warrant out now for Gervonta Tank Davis's arrest from an incident that happened last month. Apparently, like some run-in at an ATM, and there's like assault charges, and I'm hearing they're saying like something about potentially a year. Like we sit here and we one thing I'll say with us. I mean, I'm not gonna speak for other publications or other YouTube channels or crews that try to kind of like that they want bad for a fighter. The thing with us, man, like we kind of have seen the writing on the wall when it concerns Gervonta Davis, man. I mean, you kind of like the old saying goes, man, like you kind of are who you hang with, and you see like Broner on social media putting up guns and it's talking about it's time to go back to the streets and stuff. It's like, bro, come on, man. You know what I'm saying? So it's very unfortunate, man. And this kid's only 23 years old, man. I think 23, 24. He's like really young. And he's being given opportunities that I try to explain to some people that don't understand boxing. Only 2% of fighters make the kind of money that these guys are making that you see on TV every week or every month on pay-per-view or whatever. And again, man, like we look at Gervonta Davis's situation and it's like you can't help but think, coincidentally, he's hanging out with Broner too. And look at how Broner has squandered much of his opportunities, though he manages to still land them, man, like, which is nuts. But it's because one thing Broner has that Tank doesn't, and I'll pass it to you, man, is Broner he has a mouth. He knows how to sell his ridiculously, but Tank's not really that, man. So I mean, just give me your take on this whole situation, man. Like, ultimately, how do you think this is going to end up for Tank?
Yeah, I just, it's unfortunate, man. It's unfortunate because, as you talk about that 2%, you would think that, like, when you are part of that elite 2%, that you're guarded with your actions and everything, and because that these guys, it's funny. It's sort of like, and I want to say this, like Mitch Green and Mike Tyson. With Mike Tyson, man, I'll never forget, the story about him hanging out at the boutique, the Deborah boutique. And, Mitch Green was another fighter. You're always going to have the civilians or the peanut gallery test you. And I think that's what happened here with Tank. You know, he was at an ATM, and you know some fisticuffs, you know, might have taken place with him and another gentleman, you know, who was a civilian. And unfortunately, man, that's what happens, man. You're a prisoner, kind of like of your own success, so you got to kind of carry yourself differently because you are part of that elite 2%. Um, you know, again, I don't even know if that has anything to do with who he hangs with, you know, versus I just look at the pattern of what he was doing, you know, prior to that, to your point. You know, it's just like you said, we look at social media, we look at those types of things, you know, and we kind of make our judgment based off of that. But I'm always going to say, like, when you're like, what did Andre Ward say? Like, you can't have. Andre Ward said in his post, he said, you know, having a pack mentality is very dangerous because sooner or later, you know, the pack's going to go one way, and it's going to be a way that you don't agree with. So what do you do at that point in time?
Mhm.
You know, and I think that, you know, every athlete has to ask himself that question. You know, when you have these yes men around you, like, where do you want to go? You know, do you want to go and travel that elite 2% way, or do you want to go and travel that wide road and not the narrow road? So I think that's the fork in the road that Tank is facing right now. And unfortunately, man, I hope he doesn't squander an opportunity because there was a point in time, man, where, you know, he was on a shelf. You know, he wasn't getting a fight for like a year, and we saw him back in action, and now, you know, looks like he may squander another year, you know, or some time. So I don't know, man. The best advice I have, man, is that, listen, man, when you're part of that elite 2%, man, you know, get some of those yes men that to go out in public and do those things for you, you know?
I mean that, yeah, it's like you said, man. It's very unfortunate because he is young, and he yeah, I think it was last year he only fought like once,
He
and
fought once, and he was off for almost like, wasn't like 11 months or some
yeah,
crap
like
like that.
a long time for somebody who's still in their, like, we don't even know if he's reached his prime yet, but yeah, it's look, people have tried to help him. At the very end of the day, he's got to have to decide that he needs to make changes in his circle, you know. And look, Broner, for whatever it's worth, look, I know we all know Broner does a lot for social media. He understands he's a character, and but that doesn't remove the fact that he's gotten himself in situations too. So it's just with Tank, and look, and look, me saying this, like, Tank is not like a phony dude as it relates to, like, the street stuff, because it's like, if you read up on his past, I mean, he was into some heavy stuff, but again, whether it's been Floyd, other people involved that have tried to steer him the correct way, there's only so much you can do, man. And that's like what we say, like, we're not wishing bad on Tank at all, man. I mean, we want to see him and Miguel Burchelt or Tevin Farmer, and eventually, like, Lomachenko. I mean, we do want to see these fights, but he's got to make those fights. So we'll see what happens, man. It's not looking good, but we'll have to wait and see. So I don't really want to speak too much on the Dimitri Bivol Joe Smith fight. I mean, I think Bivol will win that fight pretty handily. The only thing I'll say, and we talked about it too, I don't know what it is with Bivol, but there's just something I feel is missing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what it is. I can't pick it up.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if he's better fit at super middleweight, where there's a lot of good fights too. There's a lot of good fights at light heavyweight. I expect him to beat Joe Smith, because Sullivan Barrera beat Joe Smith pretty handily, and I think Bivol, whether he knocks him out or not, I think he'll put on, like, probably be like a 10-2 fight. But I think with him, he's in a kind of a weird situation, because everybody else at light heavyweight is at ESPN. They're talking about not in the next fight, but in the fall, potentially Kovalev and Artur better be, which is a grudge match, and like there's no love lost there. I just don't know where Bivol fits in, and also too, Teddy Atlas's fighter, Vazdik, the dude that did that, that beat
Adonis
Adonis
Steven.
Smith, who's from what I read, man, is recuperating well. It's a long road, but he's
Thank the Lord.
wow, man, it's craziness. So, I mean, let's get right into it, man. The Fox yet again, the PBC deal. We've been seeing a lot of boxing, a lot of promotion. Obviously, next week you know what's coming. Mikey Garcia, Errol Spence, Mikey Garcia on Fox pay-per-view. You know they're gonna be doing a lot of promo on it this weekend. But look, man, one of the fights I've been really interested in seeing when they unleashed all these dates. This is one that kind of stood out to me a little bit, and that is Sean Porter and yet again another Cubano, your Dennis Ugas, for Porter's WBC welterweight title. So ROD, man, like I said, we talked about this. Give me your take on this fight, man. I mean, how do you see this playing out?
So let me put the car in reverse real fast and just touch 20 seconds on Bivol and
Okay, oh yeah, my bad. Go ahead.
Bivol and I'm drawing a blank. I'm sorry.
Joe Smith.
Yeah. You know, we know about the rise of Joe Smith, and we know about the fall of Joe Smith. You know, fast as came, knocked out Bernard Hopkins, and an older Bernard Hopkins, albeit, and then fought a great fighter, and lost that as well. But I'm going to tell you this: when Bivol, you just said it, is just something missing. And it's like an ingredient that he's missing that just doesn't make him look great. He doesn't really capture your attention or your eyes. But I'll say this though, I think that fight between him and Smith is going to be a good fight. Because I think that it'll be in the big. We'll put it like this: the only chance that Smith has of winning that fight is that he has to catch Bivol with something crazy early in the fight. But after that, man, I think Bivol boxing skills are going to come in, and he's going to win that fight, in that type of like 10-2 type of fashion, but that's the only chance he has of winning. And I agree with you, unfortunately, that there is something missing with him at this weight class. So I just wanted to say, hey, I concur and I agree with you on that. I have to figure out what it is, though. But that's on the zone, like you said, and it's weird not mentioning HBO or Showtime this weekend with all these fights coming on. This is really strange. But getting a Porter and was it you?
Your Dennis Ugas?
Yeah, was it Ugas? Yeah. It's funny, man. I saw Ugas fight before, and he's on his 8-fight winning streak, and I just said, you know what? This style looks like it's all bad for Porter. It really does. And as you recall, in the past, I was actually picking Ugas to actually upset Porter, because, I figured that he's a little bit taller than Porter. He can fight well, like in terms of boxing, he can control space. He has a great jab. He's not going to engage him like Danny or like how Thurman did. These guys engaged Porter. But for some reason, man, Porter, man, is a workhorse, and he's smart enough to make you engage him. Like I was saying before, like he's a guy that makes you fight him. Like I remember I was telling you that about him and Danny. I was like, people were picking Danny to win, and shout out to Danny from Philly, but I was like, he just makes people fight him. And in order to beat Porter, you have to fight him. You know what I mean? Like, like Kell Brook had to fight Porter. This is the only way, like Thurman had to fight Porter, and whereas when you look at Thurman, when he fought Danny, he kind of flurried him in. But like for the most part, man, like if Thurman would have stepped on the gas a little bit, everybody predicted he probably could have hurt Danny a little bit more. And he just, he kind of like boxed a little bit for the most part. Porter's not that type of guy, man. He's so active, man, that you got to engage him. So I just feel like when you engage him, man, in these little like exchanges, man, a lot of people wind up losing. I really believe, man, that Ugas is going to have some success in the beginning. He's going to control space. He's going to use his height, you know. But if Porter comes in any way, like the Porter that fought Danny or Thurman, Ugas is going to be in trouble. And I think between that pressure, that experience, and the fact that Porter likes these rough and tough fights where you know he is the aggressor. Although Ugas has been on that 8-fight winning streak, and although he is a bronze medalist, I think that he's going to have his work cut out for him, and I think that we're going to see Porter ultimately victorious with his hands in his air um, after 12 rounds. So that's what I'm picking. I think that I'm always one to believe that the boxer beats the puncher. But for some reason, man, with Porter, man, unless it's somebody that can really box and like engage, I don't think you can really keep Porter off you. You know, that's what he's into, man. He's into these bar fights. And he just gets, I don't know how it is, but you try to fight this very clean, like Olympic style, like it's like, you know, he turns, you're going to laugh. He turns like boxing. You'll sit here and you'll come in and you might try to be like, you know, this like Olympic ice skater, right? And Porter just turns on the music and it's like roller skating at ATL. It's like really just like everybody just sitting down and it's just totally different. Everybody's like dancing and boogieing. You just try to turn it like, you just try to come in and make it ballroom dance and he just makes it like an 80s and 90s party, It's so crazy, man. So that's just how Porter style is to me, man. And I think that, Ugas is gonna find that out sooner or later, man. He's gonna have great success, man. And after a while, man, Porter's gonna just start engaging him, and it's just gonna be everything's gonna unravel at that point.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. We were talking, man. Like I was looking at Ugas' style, and I'd seen a couple fights with him. But the one thing I kind of lost sight of was like he's like a career lightweight, right? And he lost to Amir Imam. Like I completely forgot about that. I mean, it was a while ago, but like he hasn't had a loss since 2014. So the only thing is he hasn't, like, the only name that like you would probably recognize in the grand scheme out of all the guys he's fought since up till now is Thomas Delorme, who was a lightweight. So the thing with Sean Porter, man, like you brought up some good points. I mean, he's a workhorse. He's doing the flying elbow and the the flying crossbody and the whole nine. But I mean, he's somebody that you're never gonna have an easy night with. And look, when you look at the fights that he has lost with Keith Thurman and Kell Brook, they were able to keep him from engaging much. Where like Thurman made him pay. Like there's like several instances where Thurman likes to like torque that uppercut, and Porter got hit with some stuff. But Porter's tough though. I mean, look, this is a guy that was in there with a prime Pacquiao sparring him like on a normal basis. So it's like he has a lot of experience. I think with Ugas, he has the capabilities to give Porter a long night. I just don't know. And like I went in thinking one thing, and I think I might have changed my prediction because I went in back and looked at both of their fights, and you made a point, ROD. Like I just think the physicality for somebody who's a career lightweight like Ugas, I think he has the abilities to give Porter problems, but I just think Porter, maybe not the prettiest looking fight, probably going to be the busier guy, and he's going to win points with the judges. So, like, I agree with you. Like, I initially had Ugas winning a split decision and then winning an upset, but I'm going to lean towards Sean Porter by unanimous decision. again, in a fight that's probably a little ugly, that he's just the busier guy and winning with the judges.
Yeah, I mean, again, I just looked at it, man, and just again, man, you look at these fights and you say to yourself, "Wow, this is a way that it could go." And all of a sudden, man, you just look at it and you're like, you know what, man, like this looks bad, man. Like this looks really bad, man. And obviously, man, when I looked at it, man, I just looked at it as, I think that style could be Porter. But then, like you said, I forgot that, he had fought a lot of those people at those lower weight classes and things of that caliber. And then I started really started peeling back those layers, and I just said, you know what, man, no. Mm-mm. This guy, every time this guy steps up, man, he winds up being in a situation, man, where these people try to fight these nice, clean, and tidy fights. These guys come in trying to present these term papers, and it winds up being a situation, man, where Porter makes you just scribble scrabble all over the place. It just is never a pretty fight with him. There's never a pretty fight with him, man. He seems to impose his will every time he fights. Now, let's go back and say this. Could he, you know, could he do this, with what's my man with Earl Spence? No, because Earl Spence wants to engage too.
Mm-hmm.
And could he do this with Bud? No, because I believe Bud is one of those people, man, that like to do both, and he can engage you, and he can and he can do the other thing. He can box as well. So no, it's just that I can't imagine you guys, man, going around and pot shotting Porter for 12 rounds. Like I wouldn't be surprised. Like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if it happened for 4 rounds, for 3 rounds. You know, but after a while, like we seen Thurman, man. I think Thurman is and please take this with tongue. He's a decent boxer. Like he has good lateral movement, right? I think that he tried to do that with Porter, man, for a while, man. After a while, man, he had to rumble him. And I said that before. Eventually, man, you're gonna have to rumble Porter. Porter's not the type of guy that you say, pop, 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 and I'm gonna just move around for four, corner to corner for 12 rounds, and I'm gonna get the decision. Nah, he sort of finds you after a while.
Yeah.
He finds you, and like you said, the elbow, the headlock, the DDT, the suplex, all that stuff. That stuff finds you in those 12 rounds, and you're like, oh crap! Then you find yourself complaining to the ref,
It's gonna be a rough fight for
yeah.
Ugas.
I'm sorry.
No, Sam, it's gonna be a rough fight for Ugas.
It really is, man, and it really is, man. It really is, man. And that's not to say he can't do it. It's not to say that I don't. It's not downgrading Ugas, other than the fact that we're trying to really say that, yo, man, this is really who Sean Porter is, man. Like these are his types of fights, man. And you know, I mean, let's talk about this though. Like, why isn't Ugas and Porter fighting Earl Spence? Like, why is Mikey fighting Earl Spence? Like, it's just that's what's so crazy to me, man. Like, you would think that all the other welterweights are on sabbatical. You got Danny training for somebody who knows. I forget who he's fighting.
Adrian
Terrence Granada's right, exactly. But these guys should be fighting Earl Spence.
or
But
Terrence Crawford.
or Terrence Crawford. But you know what? Terrence Crawford has a fight too. So be it. But we're the situation now, man. Where this is what we're getting. Because again, we're talking about Ugas, and I'm like, wow, Ugas sparred with Earl Spence, or not sparred, but he worked out with him per se.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm saying, well, heck, let's get you guys and let's put some people in the seats and let you guys fight. But I don't know, man. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is these guys see that they're like, you know what, Earl Spence is just all wrong for me to do this in front of people. So it has to be something. But whatever. I just really believe, man, that we clown and we kid about Porter, man, but that style is effective, man. When it comes to people that are not named like they're not named Spence, that are not named um, Crawford or even Thurman, man. So, like I said, you got to rumble him, man. I told you that before. Like you have to rumble him. And I think before, not to play jokes on you, but you picked Danny before, if I'm not mistaken. I think it
Who?
was you or Train
No, to
picked
beat Sean
Danny.
Porter? No.
Yeah, okay. It was no, it was Corey. Shout out to Corey. He picked Danny, and I told him the same thing. I said, man, eventually, man, you're gonna have to rumble him, man. And what happens when he has to rumble him? What's gonna happen at that point in time? You know? So yeah, I'm picking Porter, man. I wouldn't be surprised if Ugas made Porter look bad in some stretches, but I'm not gonna be surprised either if Porter, you know, hurts and drops Ugas because of the Porter that came in against uh, you know, what's her buddy name? Paulie,
Mhm.
the Marlin Porter, the Porter that came in against Paulie, the Porter that came in against uh, what's our buddy name? Danny, or the Porter that came in against Thurman. If that Porter shows up, yeah, Ugas is going to be in very big trouble. If any of them three dudes show up, he's going to be in big trouble.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I mean, we'll that's something I guess for Sean Porter, man. I mean that we already know what he's gonna bring. It's with Ugas. He should know by this point. You know, you're in for a rough night, man. So that's what I was saying. I think it's just he has the ability to box, but it's just the consistency. If you could do that for 12 rounds and deal with the consistent pressure that it seems as if Porter's gonna bring. So that is this Saturday on Fox. So next week, man, we are gonna be talking about the big one. I mean, look, it's the fight we were not expecting. We were hearing about for like some time, but like kind of as like tongue in cheek, a joke. But next week, it will not be a joke. It'll be happening live from AT&T Stadium. Errol Spence Jr., Mikey Garcia for the IBF welterweight title. We'll be talking about it here next week. Hopefully, Train. Shout out to Train. We'll jump on and we'll be breaking down this fight, man. We've been talking about it for months already. So the official prediction show will be next week. So that's pretty much the show, man. This, like I said, this weekend, the Zone and Fox. There's an ESPN Plus card on Friday night. But yeah, man, we are off and ready for next week. But we'll be back, talking about this weekend's fights and pretty much it, man. You want to wrap up with anything, ROD?
No, I'm rapping with an email. Today I received this email and it was from ESPN Plus. It said, "Please come back. We miss you." I said, as fast as I started that subscription, that's as fast as I
Oh,
canceled it,
man.
man. And I'm like, man, you know what? This is crazy, man. It's amazing, man. And I bet you we're gonna get this. Just keep tracking on the thread on our post. But how many people are gonna ask what channel is the fight on?
Oh,
I,
that's the thing now. Yeah, yeah.
what channel is the fight on? And everybody's gonna ask about that Bivol and Smith fight. They're gonna be like, what channel is that fight on?
Yeah.
And it's just amazing. I just can't believe, and we'll talk about it next week, that this is 2019 for boxing. We're like, we're not talking about HBO or Showtime, man. This is crazy to me.
Showtime to me, man, is I think that Wilder Fury fight not happening now, and they apparently had I don't think exclusive rights, but I think they had like the first dibs on the rematch. Well, I've been saying this since last year, man. When they made these Fox deals, man, it's Fox is taking over, man.
No, you absolutely did. And then on top of that, now, WBC mentioned that Wilder's going to fight our boy.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So now it's sort of like,
And guess where that fight's gonna be on?
what's it going to be on?
Probably Fox. Like, why would Fox not pick that up?
Yeah,
They
it's just
gotta pick that up.
yeah, this a lot of this stuff is becoming like a mockery, man. When you think about it, man, it's just
It's
I don't know.
crazy.
And then people, and the fans need to stop. And now I hear fans talking. And this is why I will leave this as a parting shot. You know, let's not make things America, versus England. But like, you get these people that say, "Oh, Wilder's afraid," and I'm just sitting there like, "Are you serious?" Like, he tried to make this fight, man. It wasn't Wilder that went there. It was Fury that went over there, and that kind of was a big roadblock in this whole situation. Or you hear people say Wilder's afraid to fight Joshua. I'm like, are you serious? So like even Joshua said these guys are not afraid to fight each other. It's just sometimes egos get in the way. It was sort of like how what Nas said about Mike and Prince. He said in one of his little ad libs, when he was making his album, he said, that album never happened because of creative differences, and or song never happened because of creative differences, something like that. And I'm going to say the same thing. That's with a lot of these fighters, man, is that their egos get the best of them, man. Now, I do believe that there is a sense where people, you know, weigh the risk, the risk benefit ratio, and that may happen with somebody like a Earl Spence, like, do I really fight him, or Terrence Crawford? Do I really fight him now? And da da da. But I mean, for Fury and whatchamacallit, these guys are not doing that. These guys really want to fight each other, but it just becomes about promotional stuff. But so I'm just saying it to say, please stop saying that Fury, I mean that Wilder's ducking this person or that person. I mean, clearly, man, he wanted that fight and it didn't happen, and it was all because of promotional differences.
Yeah, I mean, I'm hopeful they come together in the fall and make it happen. It's just now, Bob's in the picture, so that
I
always
was in the picture.
complicates things.
Don't be
So,
surprised if Don King comes back in the picture.
yo, don't, honestly, don't.
Goodness gracious.
So yeah, we'll be back next week, man. The official Mikey Garcia or Errol Spence Mikey Garcia preview show. We'll be talking about this weekend's fights. So till then, follow us at GYGB Boxing on Instagram. You follow me at RobM_GYGB, Facebook.com/GYG Boxing. So till next time, we out. Peace.